the new tenant on the edge of the galaxy, on a dusty little planet named Zorith, there lived an alien woman named Trenexa. She was old, careful, and very strict. She owned a small boarding house where aliens from different planets came to stay. Her house had rules: no loud noises, no fighting, and definitely no humans. Trenexa didn't like humans. She thought they were wild, dangerous, and always caused trouble. But times were hard. Rent was low, and her savings were almost gone. So when a quiet human came asking for a room, she hesitated, but finally said yes. His name was Eli Varon. Eli was tall, quiet, and polite. He carried only one bag and a strange black case. The case had no handles, no buttons, no locks, just smooth metal with strange lines on it. When Trenexa asked about it, Eli smiled and said, "Just something personal." From the first day, Eli acted different. He never caused trouble. Never. Asked questions and always paid rent on time. He spoke very little. He ate alone. He didn't go out much. He didn't even make a sound at night. The only thing that bothered Trenexa was that he always kept the case close, even when he slept. One night, Trenexa checked her security screens. She had cameras in every hallway just to make sure her house stayed safe. She saw Eli's door glowing with a soft blue light, just for a few seconds. Then it went dark. She blinked and stared. "What was that?" she whispered. The next day, she watched him more closely. Eli acted normal, maybe too normal. He smiled at her when they passed in the hallway, but something about that smile felt hollow, like a mask. That night, it happened again. This time, the glow came from under the door, and it lasted longer, almost 10 seconds. Trenexa leaned closer to the monitor. She saw shadows move inside his room, strange and fast. Then, suddenly, the glow vanished. Is he doing experiments, or is it a weapon? She asked herself. Her hands trembled slightly. She couldn't sleep. Her alien mind was full of questions. What if he was a spy? What if he was hiding something dangerous in that case? A week passed. The strange light didn't return, but Trenexa's curiosity grew. She noticed Eli talking to himself once, in a language she didn't understand. She also saw him touch the black case gently, like it was alive. One evening, Eli left for a walk. Trenexa saw her chance. She slowly unlocked his door with her master key. The room was dark and clean, nothing strange, except the black case, now placed on the table, and for the first time, it was open. She stepped closer. The inside of the case glowed with a soft white-blue light. It looked like liquid light, or maybe smoke, floating in a round glass sphere. Symbols moved inside it, shifting and spinning like they were alive. Her hands moved toward it, just one touch. She thought, but before she could reach it, a deep voice came from behind her. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Trenexa froze. Her heart raced. She turned slowly. Eli stood at the door, calm as always, but his eyes, they were glowing faintly. Not red, not blue. Something between. Something not natural. I was just checking the room," Trenexa stammered. "I know," Eli said softly. "I left it open for a reason." Trenexa frowned. "What do you mean?" "I wanted to see what you would do," he said. You've been watching me. I can feel it. I don't blame you, but this." He nodded toward the case. "This is not something you can understand. Not yet. What is it?" she asked, still staring at the glowing orb. Eli looked at her for a long time. Then he said something strange. "It's not a weapon. But if used wrong, it can end worlds." Trenexa stepped back. She felt cold. "Then why do you carry it?" He smiled, but it was sad, "Because I have no choice." Before she could ask more, the case slowly closed itself, the light vanishing. Inside, Eli picked it up and placed it under his bed. "You're not in danger, Ms. Trenexa," he said. "Unless you try to become a threat." Trenexa didn't know what to say. She left the room without another word. That night, she didn't sleep, and for the first time in years, she was afraid not of Eli, but of what he might become. If someone pushed him too far. The warning the next morning, Trenexa avoided eye contact with Eli. She acted normal, cleaned the hallway, watered her skyflowers, checked the rent logs. But inside, she was shaken. She couldn't stop thinking about the glowing orb in that strange black case, the way it seemed alive, the way Eli had appeared behind her without a sound. "It can end worlds," he had said. His words echoed in her mind like a warning bell. But what scared her most wasn't the case, it was him. Eli didn't act angry. He hadn't yelled. He hadn't even raised his voice. But there was something in his eyes last night, something deep. Like a storm hiding behind a calm sky. Later that evening, she checked her security recordings, hoping to find proof of the strange light. But when she opened the files, they were gone. Every camera near Eli's room had been wiped clean. Trenexa wasn't stupid. She had seen war. She had seen pirates, smugglers, even rebel scientists. But never had she seen someone who could erase security footage without touching a single wire. She stared at the blank screens. "What are you, human?" she whispered. That night, she had a dream. She stood on a burning planet. The sky was red. Giant machines floated above cities. Humans, in black armor, walked through fire. One of them turned and looked at her. It was Eli, but his eyes were pure white. And behind him, 1,000 worlds crumbled like ash. She woke up with a scream. The next day, Trenexa made a decision. She needed answers. She visited an old friend, Zern, a retired bounty hunter who now ran a bar near the edge of town. Zern had seen many things and hated humans more than she did. When she mentioned a human with a strange black case, Zern's face turned pale. "You let a human live in your house?" he whispered. Trenexa nodded slowly. "Does he have a case? Metal? No seams?" Zern asked. "Yes." Zern leaned in close. "Get him out. Now, before it's too late." "What is it? Who is he?" Zern shook his head. "I've seen one like that before. 20 cycles ago. Human carried a case like that on the planet Cresselnine. He said it was just personal. 3 days later, the city was gone. Vaporized. No war. No warning." Trenexa felt her stomach turn. "Do you think Eli has the same kind of case?" "I don't think," Zern said. "I know." Back at the boarding house, Trenexa walked past Eli in the hallway. He smiled politely, as if nothing was wrong, as if he hadn't shaken her world just days ago. She smiled back, but her hand trembled that night. She stayed awake, watching his room through a peephole she drilled herself. No cameras now. Just her eyes. And then it happened again, that strange blue glow. But this time, it wasn't coming from the case. It was coming from Eli himself. His skin shimmered. His veins glowed faintly beneath. He sat in silence, eyes closed, floating just a few inches above the bed. A hum filled the air, soft and strange. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and looked directly at the peephole. Trenexa jumped back. A second later, a soft knock came at her door. 3 gentle knocks, then silence. She stood frozen, afraid to breathe. Then a quiet voice spoke through the door. "You're afraid of me now, aren't you?" She didn't answer. "You should be afraid," Eli said softly. "But not of me. Be afraid of the ones who are coming. The ones who want what I carry. This was your warning." She waited. but heard nothing more. When she finally opened the door, the hallway was empty. Only a single glowing line had been drawn on the floor, leading from her door to his room. A symbol she didn't recognize pulsed faintly, then vanished. That night, Trenexa couldn't sleep. The human wasn't just a tenant. Anymore, he was something else, a messenger. A soldier, or maybe a weapon in disguise. And now she had been warned. But the real question was, would she listen? The glimpse of Trenexa didn't leave her room for 2 days. She barely ate. She barely moved. Her thoughts circled like cold wind in her mind. You should be afraid, but not of me. Be afraid of the ones who are coming. This was your warning. Eli's voice still echoed in her ears. What did he mean? Who was coming? And why did he draw that strange glowing symbol outside her door? One she couldn't read, but one that made her bones feel colder than ever before. She needed answers, but not from him. Not this time. The next night, she sneaked into the hallway again. But this time, she didn't try to peek through his door. She had a different idea. Earlier that week, she had placed a tiny hidden lens in the hallway light just outside Eli's room. It wasn't connected to her normal security system. It was secret. Not even Eli could erase it. At least, she hoped not. She connected her datapad, opened the feed, and pressed review footage. The screen showed nothing for the first few. Nights just Eli entering and leaving quietly. But then, at day 6, hour 22, the screen glitched dot for a second. Static. Then, the camera caught something impossible. Eli walked into his room, but he didn't use the door. He simply walked through it. Like mist. His body glowed faint blue for half a second as he passed. Then, from inside the room, the glow increased. The walls flashed white for a moment, and in that light, the camera caught a frame. One single, blurry image. But that one image changed everything. Trenexa zoomed in. Her heart pounded inside the room. Eli wasn't alone. There were 3 figures, floating in mid-nor, alien, not machine, not anything she could name. Their shapes twisted like smoke, but with eyes like stars. And they were staring at him in the image. Eli stood tall. His arms stretched outward like he was communicating. Or commanding. And on the floor beside him, the black case was open, and glowing symbols floating in the air. Trenexa's hands shook. She had seen a lot in her lifetime. Pirates, warlords, void creatures. But nothing like this. What kind of creature is he? She whispered. Is he even human? She ran to her old storage room. Years ago, she had kept a backup device. Galactic species scanner. Illegal now, but once used by bounty hunters to identify threats. She dusted it off and set it by his door when he was out. It scanned silently. When the scan finished, it beeped only once. Result, unknown, classified. Danger level. Red. Trenexa stared at the screen. Unknown. She muttered, how can a human be unknown? Then a line flashed on the screen. Subject, DNA, human origin. Bioenhanced, forbidden class. Genetic mark, E-class, eternal protocol active. Her blood ran cold. E-class, she whispered. Eternals. That's just a myth. But myths always start somewhere. That night, Trenexa couldn't sleep. She felt something in the air. Something changing. The stars above her house flickered oddly. The animals outside were silent. The wind had stopped. Eli came home late. He said nothing. His steps were slow, tired, but for a second, as he passed her room, she heard him whisper something so soft it could have been her imagination. They've found me. Suddenly, the boarding house lights flickered. The ground shook. A distant boom echoed across the valley. Trenexa ran outside. Above the hills, she saw a dark ship, round, silent, and not like anything she had seen before. No engine noise, no light, just a shadow swallowing the stars. It hovered for a few seconds, then vanished. Back inside, she found Eli standing at the window. He didn't look surprised. "I thought I had more time," he said quietly. "Who are they?" Trinaxa asked. He turned toward her eyes, glowing faintly again. "The ones who want what I carry. The ones who fear what I am. And if they come back, this planet will burn." The secret weapon the night after the dark ship vanished. Zorith didn't feel like home anymore. The sky stayed too quiet. The stars blinked like they were watching. Inside the boarding house, Trinaxa locked every window and door. Not because of Eli, but because something out there was looking for him, and whatever it was, it had found this place. She sat at the kitchen table, trying to calm her nerves. Her hands trembled slightly as she sipped her bitter root tea. Outside, the wind had stopped again. Too still. Too silent. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the front gate. She jumped up. Another bang, metal against metal. She rushed to the security monitor and saw them. 3 alien mercenaries. Tall and armored in dark suits, breaking through the front gate with plasma tools. They weren't from Zorith. They were from Offworld. They came for Eli. Trinaxa's heart pounded. She reached for her old comlink, but knew it was useless. Local security wouldn't respond fast enough. She ran toward Eli's room, but before she could knock, the door opened on its own. He was already there. Standing in the hallway, Eli's eyes glowed again, but this time brighter. "Stay behind." "Me," he said. The mercenaries burst into the house, shouting in a language Trinaxa didn't know. One raised a blaster. Eli didn't flinch. In fact, he stepped forward. Armed, the mercenary fired. Trinaxa screamed, but before the shot could reach him, it bent. The plasma bolt curved in midair, spinning like it hit invisible wind, and slammed into the wall instead. The second mercenary charged. Raising a blade, Eli raised his hand. No words, no noise. Just a pulse. A wave of invisible force knocked all 3 attackers back like ragdolls. They crashed into the walls, groaning, weapons falling from their hands. Trinaxa stared at him. What did you just do?" Eli turned to her. "Something I was built to forget," he said quietly. His skin glowed with soft energy, as if something deep inside him had finally woken up. "They won't stop," he added. "More will come." Trinaxa stepped closer. "Eli, what are you?" He looked at the broken mercenaries, then at the black case still resting in his room. "Not a soldier," he said. "Not anymore. But the weapon they came for? It's not the case." She blinked. "What do you mean? That orb inside it?" Eli shook his head. "The case is a key. The real weapon is me." Trinaxa's breath caught in her throat. Everything made sense now. The lights, the energy, the erased cameras, the fear in the mercenary's eyes. He wasn't just carrying something dangerous. He was something dangerous. But then he spoke again, softer. "I didn't choose this. They made me like this. Long ago, during a war your planet never knew existed. They turned humans into weapons. I was one of them. A living project, a biocore interface with the eternal protocol." Trinaxa didn't understand all the words, but she understood enough. He wasn't just human. He was engineered, enhanced, controlled. Then, maybe, escaped. Eli turned to her one last time that night. "You've seen what I can do," he said. "But you haven't seen what I won't do. I won't become what they built me to be again. But if I have to protect this place, I will." He walked back into his room and closed the door. The mercenaries were still breathing, but broken. Trenexa called a private off-world cleanup crew to remove them before morning. She didn't sleep. How could she? The most powerful thing on the planet wasn't a bomb, a fleet, or a machine. It was the quiet man renting room 7. His past, the next. Morning, Zorth's twin suns rose slowly, casting long shadows over Trenexa's small house. But nothing felt warm. Not anymore. The mercenaries were gone. The broken walls were repaired to anyone walking by. It looked like just another quiet alien. Home, but inside. The air was different now. Heavier. Trenexa sat at the kitchen table, hands around her teacup, but her tea had long gone cold. Across from her sat Eli, calm, silent, watching the steam rise from his own untouched cup. For a while, neither spoke. And then finally, Trenexa asked the question she had been holding back for days. What happened to Earth? Eli didn't flinch. His eyes stayed locked on the cup. But his voice, when it came, was softer than she expected. It's gone. Trenexa blinked. Gone? What do you mean gone? He looked up, and for the first time since he arrived, she saw something in him she hadn't seen before. Not anger, not power, not fear, but grief. It started as a test, he said. A secret project. Earth's governments had heard rumors that something was coming. Something not from this galaxy. They didn't know what to do, so they created us. Enhanced humans. Biomerged with quantum cores. Trained to fight what machines couldn't fight. Trenexa leaned forward. Eternals. Eli nodded slowly. There were 10 of us at first. Chosen as children. Us chose in silence. Built to survive anything. And for a time, it worked. We stopped the first invasion before the galaxy even knew it happened. But the price was too high. His voice grew quieter. Earth became afraid of its own creations. Afraid of us. Some said we were too strong. Others wanted to control us. In the end, they chose to destroy everything. Both the threat and the weapons they made. Trenexa whispered, "They turned on you." Eli nodded. And we turned on each other. Some ran, some fought. I hid, and then Earth burned. Trenexa sat still, speechless. This human, this quiet, polite man with soft footsteps and sad eyes was a living echo of a dead world. She felt something strange in her chest, pity. No respect. Eli stood up and walked to the window. The sky outside shimmered with early morning light. I've been running ever since. Changing names, changing planets. Carrying this case, not to use it, but to protect it. What's inside is what remains of the eternal code. If it falls into the wrong hands, it won't just burn another planet. It will burn time itself. Trenexa couldn't believe what she was hearing, but deep down, she knew it was true. There was no fear in his voice. No lies, just history. Raw, heavy, forgotten by the galaxy, but remembered by the last one who lived through it. She stood up and walked toward him. "So why now?" she asked. "Why here? Why did you stop hiding?" He didn't look at her. "Because they've found me. And when they come again, this place will be the battlefield. And you, Trenexa, you have to decide what side you're on." She said nothing, just watched him. A human weapon, a ghost of Earth, a man who never wanted power, but was born with too much of it. And somewhere out there, in the stars, something was coming.